Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today we continue our foodie alphabet with the letter B for bananas. If you're new here, be sure to subscribe so that you don't miss out on any future videos. We're going to be working our way through the alphabet by painting simple foods and treats. Let's get started. Before we begin painting our bananas, I'm going to show you a simple brush exercise. Take one of your larger paint brushes and dip it in your favorite color paint. We don't need to worry about banana color right now. Just choose your favorite color, and we're going to do a little warm up before we get to our bananas. Now I'm going to show you that if you hold your paintbrush straight up, perpendicular to the paper, and use a very light touch, you can paint a very fine line with your brush. Now if you take the same brush, holding it straight up again, begin with a fine line and then press down. Pull it back up, press down again, and now you get this varying shape and size of paint stroke. And that's the size and technique that we're going to be using to make our bananas. So let's do that again. First, use a very light touch, press down, and lift up again. My camera wants to focus on the end of my paintbrush because it's so long. Now we're going to use this same shape and technique, but we're going to do it in a curve. So slightly curve your shape as you press down and back up. One more time. Light touch, press, curve, and back up. You're essentially painting a small smile shape. So if you can paint the letter C, or a smile, or even just a blob by pressing your brush down, you can paint a banana. Do this exercise as many times as you like, and once you feel nice and warmed up, we'll move on to painting bananas. As always, I encourage you to use whatever supplies that you have on hand, but if you're curious about what paints, brushes, and paper that I'm using, I list it all in the description box below. To start, I'm using my largest paintbrush, a generous amount of clean water, and 2 shades of yellow, which I'm mixing together on my palette. This gives me the perfect banana shade that I'm looking for, and it also guarantees that my painting has a totally unique color from anyone else's painting because I've blended it myself. It's always fun to experiment with different color blends too. You could add a little bit of orange in here, you could even add a little bit of brown if your bananas are older. Play around with the yellows and see what you like. Sometimes I keep a piece of scratch paper next to me to test out the colors before I paint. Let's start by painting a bunch of bananas here. So we're not just going to create a whole bunch of single bananas on our page. I'm connecting some of these C shapes in order to make little bundles of bananas. And at first they're just going to look like really weird yellow shapes that don't make a lot of sense, but we're going to go in with our smaller paintbrushes and add just a few tiny details that help to separate these shapes and give you the idea that it's actually 3 bananas hanging out together and not just a big yellow blob. So stick with me and your painting is going to look great. As you're painting bananas on your page, try to stick to the top 2/3 of your paper. Just don't go all the way down to the bottom for this particular card. We want to leave a little bit of space at the bottom of our page to add a final message after we finish painting our bananas. Once you have the yellow base for your banana painting complete, you want to make sure that they are fully dry before we move on to the next part of our painting. You could step away and wait for them to dry, you could fan it a little bit, or use a hairdryer or heat gun like I did here. Now we're going to use our smallest paintbrush, dip it in water, and then some black paint, but before you take it to your paper, swirl it around in your palette. That will help make sure that we don't have too much black paint on our brush and end up with a big black blob on our paper. We just want to have a tiny bit of paint on our brush so we can add the little brown or black bits on the stems and ends of our bananas. Then we're going to use our brush and holding it straight up again, we're going to define the edges of our banana. You can do the outline all the way down or around, but I'm just creating a little suggestion by using short lines that kind of break up in between little dashes. It's totally up to you. It just depends on what your style is. So after drawing these lines on the edges of my bananas, now you can see how it's a bunch of 3, not just a weird yellow shape. We're going to add some of the little black dots that bananas get. Our bananas might be a little bit older in this bunch. Just about ready for making banana bread. If you prefer to paint bananas that are looking a little bit more ripe, clean off your brush, dip it in some green paint, swirl it on your palette, using just a tiny bit of green. We're going to add that to the ends of our bananas. So I'm painting a little V shape at the end of each banana, a little dot of green, then I'm wiping off my brush and spreading out the green paint a bit. I used almost a little bit too much green. I would even go in with less than this so that you can blend it a little bit better. But paintings aren't perfect and neither are bananas, so we're just gonna go with it. Once you have your layer of green, we're going to take the tiniest bit of brown, just a little bit, and put it on the ends of our bananas, just like the black we did before. You can also use this brown to create some of the lines to separate your bananas. So just go very gently using that super light touch again and draw some little lines to suggest the sides of your banana. And you can see how these have a much different look than the high contrast we used with the black paint before. Both are fun, but they're different, so you just choose whichever one is your favorite and use it in your painting. With our bananas complete, we're going to use that tiny brush again, dip it in more black paint, and we're going to paint a cute message at the bottom of our card. I wanted to use a little pun and just say, "Thanks a bunch." This would be a great gift to give to a teacher that you know that is working extra hard during this difficult school year, or anyone else you know that's going through a hard time or did something special for you and you want to say thank you in a really fun way. So just go nice and slow while you're doing this. If it helps, you could use a ruler and use a pencil to draw a soft straight line across where you're going to paint your letters, and then once they're dry you can go in and erase that line so nobody even knows you had a guide. But I'm just going nice and slow here and eyeballing it. I did speed up the video of me lettering so you don't have to watch me in real time because it does take a while to go so slow and carefully. But at the bottom for our final word, I am adding a little bit of faux calligraphy, and this is where our brush control exercises also come in handy, because for faux calligraphy, every time you go upwards, you're using a very light touch so you get that thin stroke, and then as you come down, you're pressing more with your brush to make it thicker. So if you need to, grab a piece of scratch paper again and practice that if you want to add some calligraphy at the bottom of your card also. And that's it for our first card. Now you have an adorable thank you card to give to the next person who you see doing something special or a little bit extra. For our second card, we're going to create an all-over banana pattern, and I've sped up this painting because by now you should already know how to paint a banana. So we're going a little bit faster here, but feel free to use the YouTube settings to slow things back down if you need to look at it in more real time. I'm keeping things nice and easy with this card. I'm doing bananas all the way down the page, and then I'm using the same technique on all of them. So we're not going to make green and brown ripe bananas this time. We're just going to go in with our black paint and give them each a little bit of character. card, I'm just going to paint a simple little alphabet motif. So I'm going to start with a nice big letter B, and then underneath it, I'm going to paint is for bananas. I intentionally cut this piece of watercolor paper 4x6 so that this would be easy to frame, because I think it would make really cute artwork in a kid's bedroom, bathroom, nursery, or even a playroom. So you could imagine if we painted the whole alphabet like this, you would have a really fun collection to hang up in your room or give to a friend as a gift. Thank you so much for painting along with me today. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure and hit that like button below and leave a comment to let me know what you're going to do with the card that you painted. I post videos every other Friday, and so next time we'll be back with a sweet treat for the letter C. Happy painting!